Well, hello, YouTube and LinkedIn, my friends that are not on Facebook. I am coming to you live with a new system. You might not think it looks new because on the outside it looks the same, but I am trying out a new software, which I absolutely love. And we will be streaming information about the real estate market in this streaming platform. Now, today is March 5th, 2024, and I've been having issues with Facebook. I'm not sure if any of you guys have experienced issues with Facebook today, but I thought I was getting hacked. So then I did the diligent thing to try to reset my password. I moved too quickly though because I soon found out that the entire meta was down. But because I had done the reset, it triggered some things. And so I don't know how to get back into my Facebook. I gave it a whole day, tried to get in again, and now they're saying that I'm moving too fast and I'm abusive behavior and I might not be able to get back in. So that's why I'm here on YouTube and on LinkedIn to share with you the market stats of what's happening in Edmonton's real estate market, not about what happened to my Facebook. So we every week talk about the market stats, and this week we are looking at the active listings. Now, the active listings in Edmonton currently right now for single family homes it did go down slightly, ever so slightly. You can see it really isn't significant in Edmonton, only by 6. So we're staying pretty standard based on what happened last week and this week. In St. Albert, we have more listings that came on the market. Spruce Grove a little bit less, a little bit less than Spruce and Sherwood Park, and Beaumont has a little bit more. Now, these are just numbers. Makes it look like market should be similar. Now, similar, it means the market's been very quiet in terms of new listings on the market. If you are a buyer, you know what I mean because you keep looking and refreshing and there's nothing new. Or when something new does pop up, it's gone instantaneously. So the market is continuing to go down that path. It is March 5th. I know it doesn't feel like spring, but spring is right around the corner, and the market tends to pick up even more at this time of year. Now, if you've been following, it has been busy since January. It has been like a spring-like market in January, February, because everyone was trying to beat the market and created a temporary spring market without it even being intentional. And so now we are heading into spring. I have a feeling we're going to see more and more multiple offer properties, especially for homes under $500,000. So if you are thinking about selling your home and it's worth under $500,000, we need to take a strategy to figure out what you're buying, because you may sell your house faster than you're able to find a place. Now, that being said, you can negotiate different terms too, right? If you look at what's went pending in the last 7 days, we had a lot of properties went pending. We had 239 properties go pending in just 1 week. And that went up from the week before. We went down a little bit in St. Albert and in Sherwood Park. So nothing too crazy to go crazy about, but Edmonton is of note in terms of how many sales there are. We're in the 230s. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be in the 250s. That is a very high number. Just 250 times 4. That's 1,000 listings in 1 month being sold. And if you look at the current active listings, it's 1,721 listings. So if nothing else came on the market and all those houses sold, like you only have 700 listings left. That's not very many. So if you are thinking about selling, you absolutely want to consider doing that in this market. When there's high demand, the prices of the values go up, right? Now, let's see what's actually sold in the last 7 days based on the same numbers we've been looking at. 218 versus the 211 last week. So we saw 194 went pending last week and 218 sold this week, which means there were some properties from prior week that was also carried over, which is why the number is up. So if you take a look at that and you look at this week's numbers of pending sales at 234 through 239, this number of being sold for sure is going to be up there in I would say 240, 250 by next week. So that is a substantial number to consider when you're looking at what the state of the market is, how you determine if it's a buyer or seller's market, and then what does it mean for you when you're looking to buy a property. When you're looking to buy a home, you would ideally like to have a balanced market where the buyers and sellers don't really have one leg up over the other. Or you want a buyer's market where there's so much inventory, you have lots of choice, lots of time to make a decision, you don't have a lot of competition, so you can still negotiate. But we are not in that market. I said this before and I sound like a broken record now. We are in multiple offer market. Unless you're looking at homes over 600,000, now that caveat is there's not a whole lot to see in those areas either. And so you may end up very well in multiples. What we're seeing as well too is we're seeing homes that have been sitting on the market, who've been on the market for a long time. All of a sudden they are getting multiple offers because there's literally nothing else to look at. So if you are wanting to ask any questions, feel free to comment in the comment section because I am going to share my screen with you. And we're going to go through some other stats in comparison. But before we jump into that, I want to take a look at the compared to last year. Now, last year by this time, it's now spring, it was still really quiet and sleepy, but look at the difference at last year versus this year. 218 sales this year versus 159 last year at this time. When we say it was slow last year, we were not kidding. And when we say it's quite busy this year, we're not kidding. It is a big jump from last year to this year. We didn't just balance ourselves out. We've literally gone a lot higher in sales than we did last year. That is why there's so much movement. Now, the Bank of Canada is going to make an announcement, I believe, on Thursday, maybe it's tomorrow actually, about the interest rates, if they're going to go up or down. Now, don't forget, when they make that announcement, it's not the actual interest rates going down or up. It is their posted rate. So like their Bank of Canada rate. That affects the variable mortgages. The number that affects the fixed mortgages is the bond rate. Okay. Now, I'm not a mortgage broker, so you need to talk to a mortgage broker to find that out. But at the end of the day, the overall forecast in January was rates are supposed to go down lower and lower and lower this year. Everyone got overexcited saying, oh, it's going to go back down. Now, okay, it's going to go down, but it's not going to go back down to 2%, not even 3%. I think you'll be lucky if we get low 4s. I think you're going to stay mid 4s is my guess. We're right now at the 4.99 if you have, I believe, less than 20% down. Don't even get me started on the fact that interest rates, if you put more than 20% down, are actually higher than if you put less than 20% down. Now, I know there are some products that my mortgage broker can access. I believe you have 30% down or more, then you can access a little bit better rates. But it is kind of weird, and I don't even get started on my rant about that. So if you have questions about what's going on, I want to share with you what I was looking at. So when the market gets really busy in the city of Edmonton, people start to look outwards because it gets to be a little too competitive. And so what are ways that we can avoid the competition? One, you can buy the product that nobody else wants to buy. What is that? People don't want to buy the non-move-in ready home. So you don't have competition because most people don't want to do all of the work. So if you own a home that requires a lot of work, your house, unless it's priced right, it's going to be challenging to sell because it's the majority of people are looking for a move-in ready. Now, another way I've helped my clients avoid multiple market offer as a buyer, because as a buyer, that's not a good thing. As a seller, you want that. As a buyer, we've been going to the new builds, and the new builds have been, for the most part, pretty decent to work with and to get in. Now, there's a caveat. There has been a builder that's been annoying the heck out of me and pushing into multiple offers and almost forcing fake market multiple offer market conditions. So it's really unfortunate that some builders believe that they can just get the best of everyone, and it's not going to work, because there still is opportunity with the new builds for you to be able to buy and look at other options. Sure, there might not be a ton of options, but the builders have still a lot more options than they did a few years ago. A few years ago, we did not have anything because they had underbuilt. Don't forget, during that whole pandemic, they panicked and thought, no one's going to buy houses. We're not going to dig holes. We're not going to build houses. So when the demand came and everything was gone, you had to wait that timeline to be able to find a property to move into. But this is not, we're not coming off of that market. Currently, we have houses in the ground, foundations in the ground, framing is happening, houses that are actually built. We have an inventory that is stronger than it was before. So there are opportunities to buy new, and there's some great opportunities to kind of get in there. For expectation wise though, don't expect that you're going to get $10, $20, $30, $40,000 off. Right now, a lot of builders have gone up in price / they're not budging at all. So beware of that, and beware of what you negotiate, because you don't just get to negotiate whatever you want. You can try, but sometimes trying your luck is going to backfire on you. So you really want to trust the agent that you're working with to give you the solid advice. Now I'm going to show you what is on resale and why we have been going to the new market. So on our system here, I'm looking in Spruce Grove, for example, to take a look at what I can see. So I'll show you. This is kind of crazy. If you're looking in Spruce Grove and you're thinking, because Spruce Grove is to the west and it's more affordable than most in West Edmonton. So if we take a look over here and we look at what's for sale, let's take so there's 201 properties. Take off pending. We're at 167 available properties in all of Spruce Grove. But now let's say I just want to look between 400 to 500. We have 61 properties available. But I want, a pretty common request. I want a double car garage that's attached. I'm down to 39. There's not a whole lot of options. Now here's what the kicker. When you go into here and you take a look at the properties, I don't know if you can see this because it's a small screen. A lot of these homes are brand spanking new. They're all new builds. They're all built in 2023. You see this? Here's 105, 2023, 2007, 2023. A few in 2017, 1 to 95. But the majority, see more 2023. A lot of the options of the 39, look at all this, is all new in the last year. So you can see a random bit of older homes, but most of them, see 2023, it gets mostly 2023 built homes. There's not a lot of choices when it comes to the older homes. So if I just organize it this way, you can see that basically from 16 on, that's insane. So from number 16 all the way down to 39, that's over 23 properties available that are 2022 or newer. The rest of them are in this range. You've got, unfinished basements, fully finished basements, but there's not a lot of choices. There really isn't anything available. So when people are thinking, oh, it's going to be more affordable in Spruce Grove, yes, that's true, but don't forget that there's not a whole lot of options. So you can see if you were in Spruce Grove and you wanted to list your house and it was listed at $450, how quickly your home could possibly move if it's actually priced properly. So I wanted to show you this example because it's actually pretty easy to show you Spruce Grove versus a community in Edmonton. Now, if you're watching and you're live right now, you can click a community that you want me to search, and I would be happy to search for you what we can see. But I honestly think it's quite crazy when it comes to what is available for sale. I'll show you in here. Let's take a look at this one. So these are some of the older homes, right? Lino, the older style kitchen. But guys, this can easily be fixed. One day you could take this island, flip it on its side. I've also seen some massive, beautiful renovations. This looks really tight. And this is also wide angle, by the way, guys. And you could also, I'm not sure if these actually crash when you open this and this. And the laminate, but you see there's space. There is space to do some expansion. We'd have to see it in person. But do you see this divide here? Easy fix. Pull the carpet out, pull the lino out, put LVP flooring. One floor, it's going to make it feel a lot bigger too. And it's a great starter home. Now, this looks quite small. And I don't know if you've noticed when you look at houses, there is virtual staging. So be careful and wary of what that looks like, because sometimes virtual staging is kind of confusing. You need to go and see the property in person so that you can actually accurately see it. You've got main floor laundry, and then you go out upstairs. Now, these older homes don't have the bonus rooms, so the rooms tend to be a bit larger. And then in the basement, if it's finished, you do have that second living space that I always tell families you want to have at least 2 separate living spaces and not just the one, right? Now, most children don't like to go in the basement. I know my kids didn't. But when you have motivation down there, like maybe their favorite toys, you could go down there and make it cozy. The yard's not a bad size. But these are decent homes that, like, if you're watching and you're coming from BC, Ontario, what do you think that house was? It was $1,414,000. It was at $419,000, 1,270 square feet. So that is quite small because it's split amongst 2 stories. But for $414,000, that's pretty amazing for a price. You're not going to get that here in Edmonton. So there is some value when you move into the outer skirts of Edmonton. And I think it's really valuable and important to realize that when you are looking to buy a house in Edmonton, do you work in the city? Do you work remotely? Spruce Grove has a lot of great amenities to have a family, like Tri-Leisure Center, a lot of new amenities in Easton and Preston, and those new neighborhoods that are right at the cusp when you come into Spruce Grove. They're building what's called, I think it's the Ball Diamond amenities or something like that, movie theater, all that kind of amenities. You have so much in Spruce. You don't have to come to Edmonton, but you're only about 15 minutes away from West Edmonton Mall, 10 minutes from the outside of West Edmonton. So it's not horrible. But if you do work downtown or university, it is going to be quite the trek for you. Driving wise, without traffic, is a good 30 minutes. With traffic, you never know, especially in the winter. So you want to consider all those things. Maybe living in West Edmonton and staying in Edmonton is something better. Now, when you're looking at Edmonton on the map, they have areas on the outskirts of the Henday that are newer within 20 years. If you go just inside or just kind of the older ones, you may be looking at 1990s to 2000s. And I want to bring up something for you in case you didn't know about this. Any home built in the 1990s, you need to check with the plumbing distribution system that it is not Poly B. If it is Poly B, it is not the end of the world, but you will be challenged on finding a home insurance company that will, 1, insure you, 2, that will not require you to replace the Poly B, and 3, also, they might insure you, but they might not insure you if there was damage done because of Poly B. There are certain providers that will insure you because obviously since the 90s, a lot of these homes still have the Poly B. What is Poly B? Poly B is polybutylene. It is the water distribution lines that was very commonly used in the 1990s as a dark gray piping, and it was known in the States to disintegrate over time. So you can see how not great that would be in your home. Now, most of the homes in Edmonton in the 90s have them. Some of them, a lot of them, are getting replaced. People who live in the home currently have, in my opinion, the equity to change that out. Now, changing it out isn't just a simple fix of let's just take the plumbing out and put it back. Plumbing is inside your walls. You got to open up the drywall. You got to open up the ceiling. Do you have a bungalow? Do you have a 2-story? Do you have a 4-level split? There's different costs incurred depending on that. So that's a pretty big project potentially. It's something to be very careful of when you are looking to buy a home in the 90s. Anything after 2000s and newer, the thing I look for, especially when clients do a home inspection, is in 2007 was our building boom. So you want to make sure the home inspectors are inspecting that house. I mean, they should be inspecting it no matter what year it is. But then you can find out if the quality of construction of your home at that year is a deal breaker or if it's okay. right? It's hard to know. And we talk a lot about sewer scope, and I say it again, and I am a broken record about sewer scopes. It is the best way to find out the condition and state of your home, because home inspectors can't find that out unless we do a sewer scope, which is a video camera that goes down into the pipes, and they look at everything. And it's just, I have to pretend I don't know what I'm looking at, because if you think about it too much, it's kind of gross. But it's new and old homes that I've advised my clients to make sure that they get examined, because it's a $250 view to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, to see, are you actually buying something that is going to cost you tens of thousands later, or is everything going to be okay eventually? So I haven't been on here super long today. It's been 20 minutes. I haven't had anyone ask any questions. So if you have questions next week, I will be back again, and I will be talking to you about, of course, the real estate market. Mark my words, we better not get to 1,500 listings. We need to start to see that number go up, and we haven't seen it go up. We keep seeing it go down. This last week was a small minimal amount going down, but we want to see things 1,800, 1,900. I'd like to see it at 2,000 listings for the pace of the sales that we're going at, because then that's like 10% each week is selling. That makes it more balanced. Why do I want to see that? I think a balanced market is more healthy for the entire market than it is to go one side or the other. I don't think a seller's market is actually the most ideal. Even if you are a seller, it's exhausting and you don't know where you're going next either. So I think sometimes, and these markets don't tend to last a very long time. So don't forget that. If you're thinking about selling, you're going, oh, I'll just wait till June because the market's so strong. There is no guarantee that this market will continue. When market in Edmonton gets hot, it doesn't tend to stay very long. Oddly, we had a year and a half of psychoticness from 2021 to 2022 midway, and that's not normal. And so I think it's important that you keep that in mind. We only know what is happening today and not later. Oh, people are asking questions. So let me see. I'm trying to figure out how to put you guys in here. This is a new thing for me. Add to broadcast. There we go. So Robert's asking, when do you think inventory will go up? When do you think people start selling? When they need to renew? See any mortgage renewal cliffs? Okay, so very good point that you bring up. When do I think inventory will go up? First of all, I will give you my opinion, but I don't have a crystal ball, so I have no idea. When should it be technically going up? Right now. Spring market is typically when more listings come onto the market. And the other thing is, the reason why you're not seeing this number go up week over week is because the demand is so high that even though there are more listings coming on the market now compared to like 4 months ago, they're getting eaten up because of the demand. So in order for that number to climb up, we either have to see the demand drop or we have to see the inventory levels go so much higher than the demand. And I don't foresee that happening yet anytime soon in the next month or so. But the demand probably will go down, in my opinion, in June. So when that number goes down, even if the number continues to stay the same for new listings, then that it will start to plateau. Now, the number of new listings coming on, I think will also plateau by the time it comes in January. So it may just like kind of even itself out. So you might not see that change, but that's my speculation. The renewal, I have to renew my mortgage this year. I've talked to a few clients that are renewing their mortgage this year. We're all losing those like sub 3%, sub 2% interest rates. That's happening this year and next year. So now the decision is, well, if I don't think I'm going to renew a mortgage at this rate, might as well move and start somewhere fresh. So I don't know what you mean by mortgage renewal cliffs. I mean, if you take a look at the stats and you run the numbers, it's not a massive change. You're not doubling your mortgage payment by any means. You're just not getting the interest rate that you used to have, which we all were hoping for. I I had someone ask me about where to find a good home inspector. If you are working with a really good agent, they should be able to give you their recommendations of a home inspection company that they advise. I actually recommend North 49 all the time, but feel free to go search around. And I really strongly recommend that you speak to your realtor, because they will have people that they recommend and have seen do well for their clients. So inventory is low because people don't want to get rid of their less than 3% mortgage. Yes, that's part of it. But the other part of it is the fact that there's so much demand, it's eating up the new listings that are coming onto the market. The other reason why they don't want to, I think my speculation why the inventory is low, the prices are a lot higher now. And so it's a pretty big jump to move from your starter home to your next home if you weren't prepared and you didn't get enough equity built in your home. And so they're not necessarily looking to sell their house. There is more inventory for new builds, but new builds aren't all listed on MLS. Some of them are and some of them are not. And that is not equated in these numbers that we go over each week. And I'm also, don't forget, just going over single family numbers, not condominiumized numbers. So Cheryl's asking, what kind of inspection should we ask to be done and who's responsible to pay for it? So the person responsible to pay for it is the buyer. That is your due diligence homework. You would always be the one in charge of getting your home inspection and paying for it yourself. This is something that you need to do for your own due diligence, just like when your financing is being approved and appraisal is getting done and whatnot. And you want to work very closely with your agent to work in partnership to kind of figure that out and coordinate all of it to make sure that you feel like you're doing your proper due diligence to make sure that, you know, you're getting everything you need to know about that property. I have to renew my from 2.64. We're sad over here. I want to turn it into a rental and buy another one, trying to just strategize a bit. Okay, well, let's talk about that. So yeah, I get it. I think mine's at 289 or something like that. And it is sad. However, this is my learning and take it for what you will. I possibly was hoping for, do you remember when it went to 1.8? I thought, oh, why didn't I get the 1.8? Well, I'm actually really glad I didn't get it, because then I would be trying to move from a 1.8 to a 5.2 right now, which would hurt even more. But I will tell you that in hindsight, I'm probably going to always try to pay the higher amount. So even if I had a rate at 2.5, I'd still want to pay 5, just so that I'm used to the payment and also paying down the mortgage principal more, because now you're paying more interest than you are on the principal, which that to me is what hurts the most. If you can have some investments that make you more interest than 2.64, then I wouldn't really worry about it. But now when things are changing and your interest rate's now going to be, let's say 5.25, you got to make sure whatever you're investing in isn't less than that. And if it is, then maybe the strategy is to take the money from the investment and put it towards your mortgage. I don't know. I don't know your entire financial situation. And I think it's really important to talk to a mortgage broker and your financial advisor to see your whole entire financial scope, to see if that actually makes the most sense. If you're looking to turn it into a rental and buy another one, that's another thing too. Do you know how much equity is in your existing home and how much equity can you grab? You can either remortgage it, it's because you're renewing your mortgage. You could refinance it, or you could do a HELOC. There's a different couple ways, and you can grab that money and put it towards the next house. So this is outside of the interest rates. I'm not talking about interest rates. I'm just talking about the equity value you have in your home. A lot of people strategize to take that equity in their home and either one, put it into renovations to build more equity in the house, or they go and buy another property like you're talking about. And it depends on the type of property and the price point you're looking at purchasing, if it makes sense. This is something where when we sit down with our clients, we do a complete buyer consultation so we can actually learn about their specific situation all up front. So we're not just kind of, talking in vague numbers, because I don't know all of your specific numbers and also your goals. Everyone has different goals, cash flow, non-cash flow. I've spoken to a few investors that, are coming from out of province. They all have different goals of what they want to accomplish. And do I recommend the inspection? 100% you should always get a home inspection done. You need it to know what you're getting yourself into. I always, as my standard of practice, always recommend it because you need to know what you're getting yourself into, right? If you're buying a $500,000 house and you move into it and you didn't realize that, I don't know, the furnace, like this is a minor item, the furnace filter needed to be cleaned. That's silly. That's a small thing, right? Easy $20 fix. But what if you didn't do the sewer scope and now there's water in your basement? I mean, it's not the greatest situation, right? When you have a new build home, my standard of practice is, yes, you're 100% open to getting an inspection if you want, but as long as you're working with a reputable builder who does come back, who is under warranty, who is able to have customer service to come and actually follow through, then you can still get one done and then bring forward the issues that they may have found through the home inspection. So I appreciate that you guys came on and asked a bunch of questions. I'm always happy to answer your questions. And next week, I'm going to be focusing on the properties. I'm going to show you some properties that aren't being snatched up. So if you're looking for a deal, you're going to want to tune in next week. And we will talk all about the different deals that you can find in Edmonton area. We're not necessarily going to look at like flips, but we're looking at long-term holds, right? Because sometimes when you buy a property, it's not always something that you're going to want to flip. That's just not how Edmonton works. We don't have a massive flip market. There's a lot of speculation right now on how much the prices will go up this year, but I would always tell you to buy your house based on the price value of today, not 6 months from now. Bye, guys.